Alright, we're going to make some watercolor thank you cards. Here's some ones I already made, and these ones are done with these 3 different colors: ultramarine blue, violet, and cadmium light yellow. So I already have the tube, the paint, and the palette there. That's our son, Calvin, in the background. He's going to help us. So the paper that I'm using is 140 pound Arches cold press watercolor paper, which I've cut down to size by folding and tearing. And here's how you do that. So this is how I'm tearing the paper. This is half a sheet already torn. So here's the full length. Fold the paper back on itself, and you're gonna crease it along the edge. I have to do this a few times. You can see it's kind of breaks down the edge. And what I do is just fold it over a sharp edge like a counter over this, and put your weight on this part, and you're gonna have to just pull down all in one motion, and it'll tear, giving you that deckled edge. So when you fold this in half and do it again, you get this size. So we'll get 2 cards out of this piece here. Just make sure that you're getting it seated on that edge pretty well. Put pressure on it. Sometimes it's easier if you get it, just tear it a little bit and then tear it off like that. I fold back on itself so they actually close, and then you can kind of look. There's a little bit of tearing there, so you can decide whether you want that on the inside or the outside. I'm going to put mine on the inside. So there you go. Okay, so now you've got all of your cards torn down to size, and what you do, or this is the way we're going to do it, is make a rectangle of just clean water. And I'm going to leave a little space down here to write thank you. And just the blank white paper. And what this does is gives the paint an area to bleed and run around in and have the colors blend with one another. The board that I have here is propped up. It's probably at like a 10-degree angle, something like that. And so now we've got the water in place, and I'm going to start with that ultramarine blue, which I'm just taking straight out of the tube. And you want to mix it pretty strong. I find that if you squeeze some out of the tube, you get really, really strong pigment, as opposed to mixing dry color with like kind of scrubbing the brush around on pigment that's already dried. But you can experiment and figure out which way is best for you. So now that you have your brush all loaded up, you just rub it along the top edge, and the angle of the board and the water that's already there will pull the pigment down, and it'll bleed from the strong mix to like 0, which is just the paper showing through. You can pick your cards up and give them a little bit more angle if you want it to run down into the water a little bit more, which I do. So while that's doing that, I'm going to add some violet to the top edge. So I want to mix this really strong, just dabbing the paintbrush right into the liquid pigment that came out of the tube. And you're just going to dot it along this top edge here. That's going to add a big, bold stripe of color that will bleed from pure violet into the indigo blue, or the ultramarine blue that we already added. And that left edge is kind of getting away from me, so I'm going to tip it up a little bit and just brush across a little bit there so it's a little more even side to side. If you want, you can, if you have, you know, an area that's kind of getting away from you, angle the paper up, clean the brush, and then we're just going to take a clean brush and wipe from the wet up into the paint, and then so you want to brush up and then off. So you don't want to do a lot of brush work, because you want the gradient to be kind of let the water do all of the heavy lifting for you. So now just hold the paper while it dries a little bit. So now we're gonna clean the brush, and we'll add the green down at the bottom. So we're taking some ultramarine blue and that cadmium yellow. That's a little too much green. Add more yellow. So I like this technique because it allows you to have a nice, beautiful picture, but you don't need any rendering skills. So this gradient with the blue, fading from dark blue to lighter blue and then down to the green, has kind of a landscape look, but you don't actually have to paint a landscape. So what we're going to do is turn the paper upside down now and charge this bottom edge with that green. So what this does is allows the green to fade into that white area, and then it also keeps your really strong pigment pooled up at the top edge there. So you're gonna have a big, dark, bold line of color there, which is a look that I like, and that's what I'm going for. So again, I'm just dotting the pigment into the bottom of that rectangle that we painted the clean water onto. And if you want, you can kind of make little tree-like formations. And it'll give you even more of a landscape kind of look. So these edges are kind of getting away from me a little bit and bleeding down there more than I want. So I'm going to clean the brush, dot it off on some paper towels, and then swipe back up that way. Clean the brush again. Do it again over here. And so now I'm just going to write thank you down below there. I'm using a brush pen, which is a marker that has a flexible tip. Alright, let's take a closer look. You can see this top edge is still wet, but there's that violet that we charged into the top. Fades into the ultramarine blue, where it fades to just white, and that green that we added to the bottom. I really like these really bold, hard lines between the white paper and the color that you added. Hopefully this was some help to you, and you go out and make your own. Thanks for watching.